multiple entrances to the CME, but at this point we are told by security that they are all being blocked in one fashion or another.
All right, the scene in a very angry, windy city today, Chicago, the CME, you name it, they trade it. Futures and derivatives and options on everything from commodities like soybeans and wheat to barley, even oil. If you want your dibs at it, you can make a lot of money trading it, and it's that money and the fact that people in Chicago and Illinois, where they're going broke fast, want to put trade caps on that. In other words, taxes of it, a few pennies a trade. What harm would it do? The argument would be that it could raise billions of dollars.
Yes.
But would it do more harm than good? The scene today where they're saying in a sort of a modern day grapes of wrath, it's time to pay for trading in those grapes. To Phil Flint at the CME on what's going down today. Now, Phil, you were arguing, you know, you could chase that business right out of the city, but those protesting said, look, we need the dough, and these guys are easy targets. Explain.
They are the easy targets. You know, basically they call themselves the Moral Monday. They were very well organized group. And at first there was a lot of anger, but actually when we started to share ideas, I don't think we're as far apart as we would want. We all want the same thing. We want the situation with the Illinois government to straighten out their act. It's just how they do it. And I don't think that they realize that what they're asking for would never work. You know, if you try to, tack on $1 or $2 trade, you know, they say they can raise $10 billion in revenue. The truth of the matter is a lot of that 10 billion trades will go to a different country, perhaps. So they really could force businesses out of the country. Not only that, or the state of the CME. But again, you know, what I noticed, though, is that there was a lot of passion behind these people. They really believed in what they stood for, but I don't think they understood what they stood for. And at the same time, it was very well organized. They had people busing these people in, taking them out. So I don't think we've heard the last from Moral Monday.
All right, now we should explain that a lot of them are very angry. If you live in Chicago, where you're just essentially bankrupt, if you're, a citizen of Illinois, you're billions in arrears, and they've got to find some way to close that gap. I mean, now you're paying for your garbage collection, which you never had to do. And they're striking fees on anything and everything in between. And then lo and behold, they see these traders, I guess, making a lot of money and figure they're an easy target, much as the Occupy Wall Street movement did. Is there a difference to this group? Because I think what's so different here is that they're just sick and tired of being taxed or seeing their services cut. And this looks like a convenient
I think they are. It is, but and they're tired of it. I mean, we're going to have a sales tax in this city that's going to be over 10%. Their property taxes are going up. They're angry. They're tired of it. But their anger is misdirected. If you look at the CME group, they're one of the institutions around here that are actually creating jobs, creating, tax revenue and keeping people in jobs. And all they might do affected by, pushing the CME and putting a tax on them, you're going to push these jobs out of the state to another place. You're going to leave a bigger hole in the state revenue.
What were they doing, Phil?
And you're going to lose a lot of different things.
They were blocking entrances to and from the CME, so traders couldn't get in or out. Now, then I guess authorities are saying you can't be doing that. So how did it end on the day?
Yeah. Well, I think the CME did great. They had a little forewarning. The Chicago police were out there. They were blocking this right now. And the protesters' goal was to try to get into the CME group. They wanted to do this. Now, they've done other protests at other buildings around the Chicagoland area, smaller groups, and they were able to get into the building. But the CME really did a great job, and the Chicago police did a great job by keeping them at bay. And actually, I think that was a good thing, because once we're out getting to talk to the protesters, getting to see, we realize, we're angry about the same things. We're tired of the fiscal mismanagement in the state of Illinois. We're tired of the corruption, and we're tired of people that work hard and pay their pensions, get their services cut.
Wow, it's a mess in your neck of the woods, my friend. All right, thank you very, very much. Phil here, but a lot of them were espousing earlier on, let's return to a 90% top tax rate. Some of them are actually saying that because you've tapped us to the bone. We can't take anymore. They're angry. This is palpable anger. How bad does it get?
Well, it gets really bad, but if you can remember back, IQ can't, but being an older fella, Detroit in the 1950s was the citadel, is the Paris of North America, and then they all started that in Detroit. Detroit went from a population of 1.85 million in 1950 to today it's less than 700,000. That is exactly what's going on in Chicago.
And they had to get a fiscal manager to take things
well,
over.
This will happen here too. You can't tax a state into prosperity. You can't tax a city into prosperity.
Well, have they not cut enough, Art? I mean, in Chicago, it's very different than Illinois. Illinois, they got a Republican governor who says there's a limit to how much we can charge. You raise property taxes, and it's going to phase in. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, says, yeah, you ought to exempt those with properties 250 grand and under. But they're at wit's end to try to come up with money to close huge gaps. Are they ever going to be able to succeed?
Well, when they get down far enough, will they have receivership? Of course, that's when the bankruptcy occurs, and then they'll reformulate. But the real problem is once you put in these taxes, Neil, it's so hard to remove them because the first couple of years after you remove them, you don't get the economic growth.
But it sounds tempting, right? Or when they say, hey, we only want to tax pennies on trades, and arguing that it's millions of trades, billions of trades over the course of a year, and that they could make a lot of easy money. They forget that trading can go elsewhere to lower tax cities.
Yeah,
right?
you can move billions of dollars internationally for a BIP, for 1/100th of 1%. You can get billions flow internationally. That money can go out of the Chicago city limits very easily, just the way all the companies did in Detroit. They used to be, all the auto companies were located in the city, and then they moved out to the suburbs when the city put on a corporate tax of its own. So these people moved. They are, and in the longer run, they're really mobile. I mean, the book I did, I don't know if you remember The Wealth of States, and then I've got the sequel coming out now to The Wealth of States, which looks at cities, counties, and local districts, as well as states. It's amazing how sensitive people are.
But you know, it is a populist pitch that has a pitchfork feel to it, where people are angry and they're taking it out on those that appear to have money or the wherewithal to help them pay these gaps. And they're not accepting middle ground here. This is going to get more violent.
Well, these processes almost always go to the end. They go to where it's a collapse of the whole process and then receivership, unfortunately. Rarely.
So you think this keeps going on? Chicago certainly could go bankrupt.
Oh, Chicago will.
Right.
I mean, this is just
the highest
unambiguous.
sales taxes in the nation.
Yeah, who wants to move to Chicago, for goodness sakes? I mean,